What's up, college football fans? I promise that I feel better than I sound. Welcome to the Waterboys College Football Show, pregame show, week number 2. How we feeling this morning, Stress?
I am more than halfway through my iced white chocolate mocha, ready to go for today's big matchup between Ohio State and Grambling State. So I'm ready to get this show rolling, baby.
Yeah, it's a big day. We're in Baton Rouge. I am in LSU country. In fact, I'm wearing an LSU hat today, which is this will be the first time in my life that I am wearing another team's hat. But you know what? When in Baton Rouge, Strez, you do it. You just have to do it right.
That's what they say. I do have to ask. Growing up in Arkansas, in Razorback country, there were 2 teams that I was raised to really, really not like. One of those teams my Buckeyes played last week, and the other one is the hat that you're wearing today. What's it like wearing LSU Tigers hat?
I thought it was going to be weird. I really did. And then yesterday we were talking with some of the guys that we're going to be doing the LSU pregame show with.
Yeah.
And here's what we all were able to kind of like build some camaraderie around. We were all able to get around this one thing. We all hate Texas.
Fair.
All of us. Coming from the Big 12, obviously Oklahoma, Texas, we've always had a huge rivalry. It's not something that maybe I thought, or maybe I just didn't think about it, that like everyone else was also going to hate Texas.
Yeah.
Now, you experienced this last week. Was this your first time to really experience the like Texas like fan base and the entitlement that Oklahoma fans have just come to know is part of the gig when it comes to playing Texas?
I would say probably a little bit more than usual because growing up in Arkansas, there's a fair share of Texas fans there, but with the recent advent of social media, it has gone to the nth degree. I think with every fan base, right? Like I know there's insufferable Buckeyes fans out there. There's insufferable Sooner fans out there.
Oh,
like there's all of us out there. But the issue with, when we get in here and we have, unfettered access to social media, it just makes it way worse. So, and I think what made it worse this year too was kind of the hype behind this Longhorns team this season made it a lot worse.
Yeah, and let's go ahead and get into that first thing this morning, which if you're just not turning in, we are live from Death Valley at Pro Dreams. Strez, when I say we are literally a stone's throw from Death Valley, it is literally a stone's throw from Death Valley. We were out last night, and we were talking about this with some of the other guys. I'm sure we'll talk about it on the pregame show, but I think that there are traditions in college football that when you are a part of the tradition as the fan base, it's just normal to you.
Yeah.
It's just normal until somebody else comes into your backyard and starts to say, hey, this thing is wild, right? And it happened originally when Jet and I very first started working together. And he said, that it is wild that Oklahoma, after a touchdown, runs a wagon pulled by 2 horses out onto the field. And you kind of look at it and go, you know what? That is a little wild. And while that is wild, and while the Colorado Buffalo running out on the field is wild, in my head, there is nothing more wild than down there in front of the Pete Maravich Center, in between LSU Stadium and the Pete Maravich Center, is a zoo exhibit where you can see Mike the Tiger. That is the wildest thing in college football, maybe by a mile.
That's a deadly freaking animal, dude.
I mean, there's a real tiger on campus.
That's actually crazy.
So this is what I love about college football. This would never happen in the NFL. No way.
No chance. No chance. Like I think some of those traditions, like with live animals, right? Like, some of the most obvious ones are, Bevo at the Texas games. You've got the Georgia Bulldog and his little doghouse at the outside of the back of that one end zone.
Which they can't figure out how to keep alive somehow. Uga dies like every 2 years.
Yeah, I think that's just the English Bulldogs just have terrible lifespans. It's just not a good breed. I love English Bulldogs, but they are not like longevity dogs. And one of the ones that I think is crazy on top of the Tiger is before the Arkansas Razorbacks games happen,
Yeah.
they drive a giant trailer with a full-sized hog in the trailer with the entire cheer squad on top. They go around, they stop like 8 times going around the field and call the hogs with the fans. And it's crazy. If you've never seen like a Razorback is not just a pig. It's big. It's a real big pig.
Well,
and
we were talking about this the other day, and Auburn's hot in the news. Everyone's loving to talk crap about Auburn, rightfully so. You just like on a random Tuesday went and claimed like 9 more national championships, but the War Eagle is incredibly awesome. And maybe it's just because I'm new to the SEC conference. I still don't know how this fits in with the Auburn Tigers.
I grew up
where Auburn Tiger War Eagle came from, even though I think it's the coolest thing in the world that they have an eagle that flies around. We have to at some point figure out where someone first was like, well, yeah, an eagle. We're gonna do an eagle. Speaking of Auburn, have you checked some of the comments on our video about Auburn just claiming national titles?
Some of those comments make me laugh.
Yeah, which I think maybe, again, new to the SEC conference, I think maybe it's been a little bit of a point of contention with other SEC fan bases because Alabama, I guess, just kind of like claims national championships whenever they feel like it. But to wake up on a random Tuesday and add 7 is a little much.
Yeah, claiming them like relatively close to when it happened.
Yeah,
is
1913. Whatever.
Yeah, it's different than going like back and claiming, 110 years ago.
Yeah, 2004. Is it 2003 or 2004 that they claimed?
It was the 04 year that they claimed.
Yeah, my Oklahoma Sooners played USC in that national championship game.
Yeah, we have like 720p video from that national championship game. Like those are the ones that I'm just like, what are we doing? Like, fine, if you want to claim ones where there is like no color TV, like the photography looks terrible, sure, fine, I don't care. But when you're going to go and claim a national championship from a year that I literally watched with my own eyes.
Yes. Yeah.
That's the one that just doesn't make sense. That one's not. What are we doing?
Speaking of Oklahoma, so obviously we have a huge game today. Oklahoma, Michigan. So, I was really interested going into this game. The narrative on this has changed quite a bit over the last week. And I went and looked a lot of film. I pulled a lot of stats from both Oklahoma as far as John Mateer, transfer quarterback coming in from Washington with his offensive coordinator, Ben Arbuckle. Game 1, John Mateer, 30 of 37.
Jeez.
For 392 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception, a passer rating of, 91.4, something just like ridiculous. Now, he also rushed for 24 yards. And I will say this, he is more elusive than I thought. It's, because a lot of people compared him to Baker Mayfield because of the swag. He's got a look, he's wearing a headband, that type of deal. Baker was like agile, but I wouldn't call Baker Mayfield athletic.
Yeah. No, I can agree with that. I think John Mateer looks like the kind of guy that could probably go and play a pickup basketball game and look competent.
Point. Yeah.
Baker's not quite that kind of guy.
No.
Baker's got the dog in him, but that can only carry you so far on like a basketball court or like I guess Baker's probably a better baseball player than basketball player. I don't know. There's just something, there is a tangible difference when you're watching the two of them.
Yeah. It's like
in the athleticism.
Like if he showed up he'd be one of those guys. He probably could pick up any sport and just be pretty good at it.
Yeah.
Like a good fluid athlete. Now you go back to Washington production, 3,400 yards, 32 passing touchdowns over 3 seasons. he amassed 826 rushing yards and 15 rushing touchdowns as well in just 2024 alone. 64.6% in 2024 of his passing, and he led the FBS in total touchdowns with 44, 29 passing and 15 rushing. And, coming into it, in fact, we put a video out about this. I wasn't as high on the John Mateer train because I believe the big media hype of that's Washington State, that's different. He's going to come down to the SEC and he's not going to be able to do that.
Yeah.
And the thing that kept coming to my mind is have ball, will travel. That guy's game travels. It works. He plays a style of quarterback that works in every system, and he can give you problems. And it's going to be very interesting to me because, again, I'm not sure that Oklahoma has found the number one wide receiver that they really want. The running game maybe isn't exactly what you want. The offensive line, we're still not really sure, played Illinois State. But that guy, we saw it not only in the Oklahoma-Illinois State game we were talking about, we saw it with Miami, we saw it with the LSU game. If you've got a more seasoned quarterback that can do some stuff, he can cover up some of the problems that you might have because we've got so many schools that are starting such young quarterbacks. And so having somebody with all that experience, makes that a lot different. Obviously with Ohio State, you guys have seen both sides of it where you've got a really young quarterback now. You're coming off of having somebody with a little bit of experience in it. But what I think is different is even with calling such a vanilla playbook against Illinois State, which is what you should do, by the way.
Yeah.
He still played within the offense. Like he rushed for a touchdown. Yeah, he got out and scrambled, but it was a balanced attack. And I'm not sure if Michigan going into this is the second game of the season. You got a brand new quarterback. You're taking him to Norman, Oklahoma against a Brent Venables. I'm not sure that you have a young freshman quarterback that's ready for this type of environment that he's going to get at a 6:30 kick in Norman.
Yeah, I love that you mentioned Will Howard because I actually really like that. Not necessarily like player comp, but career comp. Will Howard had much of kind of the same trajectory. K-State, Washington State, both teams not necessarily like perennial powerhouses, but right. can make some noise here and there. And it gave both of these guys the chance to learn how to be a college athlete, learn how to be a college quarterback, learn how to operate an offense, and then that change of scenery. I mean, we saw the spark that it gave Will Howard last year, and I really do feel like there is kind of that same spark for John Mateer and this Oklahoma team because, I mean, it's been a rough ride of quarterbacks since Caleb left for OU, which I mean wasn't that long ago, but it's been a rough couple of years since he left to go to USC, and I think John Mateer is kind of that guy that comes into town and all of the Sooners, all of the fan base out there kind of is really hitching their wagon to this guy because he knows how to be a leader. He knows how to be a college athlete. He knows how to, run an offense. He's got that experience. He's got the game time experience. And like you said, a little bit of the player comp with Will Howard. He's very mobile. I mean, almost 900 yards on the ground last season is unbelievably good, especially when you're already throwing for almost, 3,100 yards last year, adding another almost 900 on the ground. Like that's exactly what you want in this Oklahoma offense because, the calling card for Oklahoma is their defense. This era of the Oklahoma team, the Brent Venables era of Oklahoma, the calling card is their defense. And so when you've got a quarterback that can run to get that first down on 3rd and 7, 3rd and 6, doesn't have to throw the ball, shortens the game and moves the sticks, and it gives your defense a little bit more time to breathe And then once you do, either score touchdowns, kick a field goal, or, punt, your defense is going to be out there with less time on the clock. So I really do think that this John Mateer experience in Norman is going to be huge for the Sooners. And like you said, bringing Michigan, I'm still really unsure like what Michigan is this year. I mean, they looked really good last week, but I mean, they were playing New Mexico, which I think New Mexico was like preseason 126th out of 136 teams. So it's like, I mean, sure, Bryce Underwood, like he can throw a nice ball. Everything looks like a fastball for the kid. I'm not sure how that's going to work out against a really polished Oklahoma defense. Top 25 matchup. That's what's tough too in this matchup here is we've got this 18-year-old freshman quarterback who, has a lot of self-confidence. He's really confident in his own abilities, which is a good thing for a quarterback. But this is his first ranked matchup, and he's going into one of the wildest atmospheres in college football. And on top of that, you've got the entirety of the scandal, fallout, lack of penalty. People, much of the NCAA is thinking that there should have been more done for the Michigan team after that sign stealing scandal and things like that. So I'll be interested to see how the stadium feels, how the crowd sounds, what the game kind of momentum looks like, how the game looks. But yeah, my dad will be there, and he'll be in his Michigan gear. So it'll be an interesting day for old Rocky. While he's at this game, I do hope he has a good time. But like I told my mom a joke yesterday, I was like, I hope he has a really fun time. First chance to see the Michigan Wolverines in person, but I hope he leaves with his head hanging a little bit. So,
well, and something, when I was doing some research for this one, you and I were talking about it. We both like eat, sleep, breathe our prospective teams, but with the transfer portal, every once in a while, we're like, hey, who's that guy? I didn't know that he was on my team. So I was looking at Oklahoma's main targets on offense. Deion Burks, wide receiver, senior. Jaron Canick, converted linebacker, senior. Keontez Lewis, wide receiver, senior. Now, a lot of these guys are transfers, obviously. But Keontez Lewis is a wide receiver senior, started at Southern Illinois, went to Wisconsin, came here. Last year at Wisconsin, 790 receiving yards, 49 receptions, 5 touchdowns.
A bad Wisconsin team.
At a Wisconsin team, and we know how well Wisconsin likes to throw the football. They're just in love with it. A little
bit more than Iowa. Just a little bit more.
Just by a little bit. They're like, we have to pass. We actually have to use the forward pass. So if you could get around 800 yards in that offense, any other offense, that's a 1,000-yard season probably.
I mean, he averaged 16 yards a catch.
Yeah, I mean, he's, and I understand people are like, well, yeah, they're a senior, yeah, but they weren't in the program. I don't know that matters as much. I think to your point, when you've got guys that have been around college football, they understand the schedule. They understand how to balance football in the classroom. They understand the demands that are on it. It's still bringing a lot of veteran leadership into your team. And, we were talking about this a couple of weeks ago. Obviously, you played in college. The fact that John Mateer comes in is immediately voted captain. You've got some transfers that come in that are seniors. You've got Jaron Canick, who's been in the program. He's converted linebacker to tight end, which, by the way, we just call that athlete. Like that's when you're in high school and they put and you know what I'm talking about? Well, like Rivals does the thing, and then there's like one guy that doesn't have a position. It just says athlete.
Yeah. I was all conference offensive utility my senior season.
Yeah. They're like, we don't know where this guy's going to play.
Yeah.
But wherever he's going to play, it's fine.
Yeah.
So talk to me, how big a deal is it to be able to, your first year in a program, be voted captain? Because I think maybe the typical college football fans don't understand that captains is not like a thing coaches do. It's something different. Explain to me that process.
Yeah. And I think it's different in a lot of places. Some places it's done by a team vote. Some places I think like the entire coaching staff kind of gets together in a room and makes that decision. And I think for either way that, voting on a captain happens and kind of choosing who your captains are going to be happens. Either way, for a guy to only be in town for a couple months and, automatically be voted a team captain says something just about his leadership ability. And I do think that there's a little bit of like a caveat of like, oh yeah, he's the starting quarterback. Of course he's going to be the captain. But I mean, he wasn't just handed the starting job. Like he still had to work for it and win it. As much as people want to think that like starting jobs are just given to the guy who they think is going to be the best, like they still have to earn it in a lot of places, especially like the blue blood colleges, like the OUs, like the Michigans, like the Ohio States, like the Georgias. Like those quarterbacks have to come in and earn it.
Yeah, you're trying to win football games. You don't care who's throwing the ball as long as you win football games.
Exactly. And I think, it says a lot about, both, him coming in and earning that number one QB role and earning that captain spot too. And I think we reacted to it. He did like that little speech thing at the Oklahoma first year's like first week of school thing. I mean, that's just another thing that shows like John Mateer's character and like what he offers more than just being able to throw the football and run really well.
Yeah, I think we were talking about it that we saw it with Miami because there's so much turnover, so much happening in the transfer portal.
Yeah.
When you can get a guy in that can immediately settle your program down and can go, hey, I know some of us have only been on campus together 6 months at the longest, some less. Like, I've played a lot of football. We know how this is supposed to be. I can set the tone as a leader really early on. We're making sure that we show up to the weight room and we work hard. We work hard in the classroom. We're doing the extra things. We're not just saying, hey, practice is the only thing. And what I did see was that because in that first game against Illinois, John Mateer was able to find a target really early. That told me, hey, these guys have been working. It's not just been practice. There's been one-on-ones. These guys have been out on practice fields doing stuff. And I think that is a little bit different maybe than Michigan. I noticed, and I made a note of it when we were talking through this game last week. Bryce Underwood is a fastball-only quarterback. He only knows how to throw the ball one way.
Yeah.
And it is 100 miles an hour, all gas, no brakes. And when you watch some of the highlights, yes, it was New Mexico or whatever. It's not a great competition. But there were a couple of passes across the middle that I thought, okay, maybe it is the first game. Maybe he's juiced a little bit. Adrenaline's going. If he's going to be juiced in his adrenaline, if his adrenaline was pumping against who they played last week, his adrenaline dump is going to be massive when he has to run out on the field and they start the pregame package. They start the Boomer Sooner chant from one side of the stadium to the other.
Yeah.
Like and with Brent Venables, obviously we've talked about it. Brent Venables, arguably one of the greatest defensive minds of the last 25 years in college football. The man knows how to beat SEC teams. The man knows how to beat Big Ten teams. He's got 3 national championships. And he's going to be able to take advantage of whatever things Bryce Underwood can't do well. And if Bryce Underwood can't drop back and show a little more touch on those intermediate routes, those short routes, Brent's going to probably be able to figure out a way for the defense to come up with a couple of things that could really swing the momentum. And when you got a young quarterback and you can get a big momentum swing like that, it can start to go downhill really fast. In fact, some of us have, I know some of us picked Oklahoma to win by 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
And I think Bryce Underwood is unbelievable. And we were talking to, but
I remember when they brought him in my head, I'm like, oh my God,
but
no way.
Week 2. Now, if this was week 6, I think this is a completely different deal. But if you're Oklahoma, you're getting lucky that you're getting him week 2. You might as well call it week 1. And it's a lot to ask a kid to come down there and do that. Now, if you're watching this, you're like, oh, does he suck? Absolutely not. Consensus number 1 overall recruit in the 2025 class, 5-star kid.
Yeah.
2-time MHSAA Division I state champion. Max Preps National Freshman and Sophomore of the Year. 2-time Michigan Gatorade Player of the Year and Michigan Mr. Football. He threw for almost 12,000 yards in high school and 152 passing touchdowns. That's a state record.
My God.
Totaled for 179 touchdowns across his career. Amassed 12,000, almost 13,000 all-purpose yards with a 50-4 record in high school. The guy can play football.
He can, and it's obvious when he walks out there. He knows what he's doing. Like, he knows how to play quarterback. He knows that he is usually probably going to be one of the best, one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL or in college football. Like, he knows that he's got the talent. Dan Orlovsky said this week that he thinks that Bryce Underwood is a generational talent, which, again, he's played 1 game in college. Let's pump the brakes a little bit. Stop putting all this pressure on these kids.
So,
I'm a side note altogether. I'm done hearing the term generational talent. I think it's been overused over the last 5 years. And the fact that that phrase has been used as much as it has been over the last 5 years means that these guys actually aren't generational talents, because if everyone's a generational talent, then no one's actually a generational talent.
Right.
It's a confusing thing. So, but yeah, I think Bryce Underwood is a really talented quarterback. I think Michigan got themselves a guy, but again, like you're saying, it's his second game. He needs some more time. He is coming off of a game that was basically almost a glorified scrimmage in a sense, playing against that New Mexico team last week, and coming into this game, prime time, college game days there. It's a 6:30 kick. One of the most ruckus crowds in the entire country. So there's a lot going into this game that I think John Mateer is going to be able to handle much better than Bryce Underwood is going to be able to handle. Because, like, one of the things that I can remember whenever we played like maybe 6 night games in my time in college. Not really a thing that happens that often for, second tier, third tier D2 teams. But those night games, like, you have to really get your mentals right, because, like, you don't want to get too excited too early. Right. You don't want to start listening to your pregame playlist too early. You don't want to go to bed too early the night before, because you want to try to make sure that you only hit that 8-hour mark. Like, there's a lot that goes into it that I think is like all a learning process for Bryce Underwood this week. He's having to travel. He's having to figure out how to travel with the team. He's having to figure out how to sleep in a hotel. He's going to have to figure out how to, do all of those kinds of things. And that's really hard to do as a freshman. I mean, it's really hard to do. And then you have to couple that with going and playing in front of a primetime crowd, in front of the Oklahoma Sooners crowd, against a top-tier defense on national television. First ranked matchup of this is going to be a really tough test for Bryce Underwood. And that's kind of where I came away, saying that I think that Oklahoma is going to win this game by several scores, is just because of all of that, like, knowing what that entails for a freshman quarterback, a freshman player in general, especially a quarterback. Like, what that all means is really why I think I think this Michigan team might struggle a little bit early, but it might be a little too late when they start to pick it up in the second half. I could see something like that.
Yeah, and I don't want to sit here and just trash Michigan, because obviously it's a good football team.
Yeah,
they've won a national championship in the last couple of years. If you had to put a true serum in me and said, okay, what does Michigan need to do to be able to win this game? I think there is one big key. For whatever reason, Michigan knows how to get a hold of really good tight ends
and running backs.
Yeah, and every school's kind of got their thing. Ohio State's got, hey, we're going to be able to get wide receivers in chunks, and we're going to have a great number one, a really good number two every year. LSU has been that way. Hey, we're going to be able to bring in wide receivers. We're going to have really good quarterback play. Michigan last year has Colson Loveland, and obviously he's with my Bears right now. Really good pick. But they've got a guy this year, senior, Marlon Klein. Yeah, last week against New Mexico, 93 receiving yards, 6 receptions, 1 touchdown. There is nothing better for a young quarterback to be able to get some momentum, to get his timing down, than when you have a tight end that hey, if what starts to go south, I got a guy that I can check the ball down to, and he's going to be there. Or, hey, we need you to fire in a couple of really short, crisp passes to get us going. We've got a senior at tight end. And I think maybe that's something that we're not looking at. They've also got a really good running back, a junior, 159 rushing yards, 16 attempts, 3 touchdowns, Justice Hayes.
Jeez.
They have got some weapons. It's just going to be, do you think a young quarterback can slow the game down enough for himself to be able to utilize the weapons at tight end and running back and wide receiver that Michigan does have?
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head there. Having a good run game and having a reliable tight end are two of the best possible things for a freshman quarterback to have. Last week, Marlon Klein, that tight end, led the team in receptions and yards. 6 catches for 93 yards, 15.5 yards per catch, and had their only receiving touchdown. So obviously he is already Bryce Underwood's favorite target, which, makes perfect sense. He's the biggest pass catcher that they've got. It's easy. Yeah. It's easy to find him. He's usually not too far away from the football. So that is really helpful. And then you throw in the fact that this Justice Haynes kid, looks the way he looks. He averaged 10 yards a freaking carry last week. And again, with the caveat, it was New Mexico against, a Michigan team that consistently year in and year out has a top 10 offensive line. I think if early on in this game, I think it would probably be smart for Sharon Moore and the Michigan coaching staff to lean heavily on that run game and then get some of that play action out of, say, like an 11 or a 12 personnel with 1 or 2 tight ends in the game, and get Bryce Underwood out of the pocket, get him on the move, or get him, outside the pocket, letting him make plays. Get his tight ends right in front of him. Tight ends are covered up. Let Bryce Underwood, take off and run for the first down. That's what I would. If I were the Michigan coaching staff, that's what I would make the offense look like in the first half, just to let him get really, especially the first quarter, just to get Bryce settled, just to get him, locked in, just to get him, comfortable in that environment. I think is one of the things that would probably be the best thing for him and the Michigan Wolverines in their first quarter of this game.
Yeah, he's got everything you would need to get comfortable.
Yeah.
And I think that the tools are there. I think the thing that is going to really decide it is, can he do that with the quarterback pressure package that Oklahoma can put together? Now, this was, obviously when Brent Venables came to Oklahoma, the first thing everyone said was, well, the defense is going to get good really fast.
Yeah. And they did.
And it did.
Yeah.
It was immediate production. Now, obviously the bar is set pretty low because Lincoln Riley and Alex Grinch, I'm not sure that they care if anyone can play defense.
Defense was optional in that era.
Yeah. We were talking about it with the guys last night. Thinking back to Baker Mayfield's team when they played Georgia, went to 2 overtimes. I always tell people Oklahoma didn't lose that game. They just ran out of time.
Yeah, another perfect example is that Texas Tech OU game when it was Mahomes versus Baker Mayfield. The offensive output in that game. That final score was, what was it, 66-59. Baker Mayfield threw for 545 yards, and Pat Mahomes threw for 734 yards in one game.
Nobody's playing defense.
No one was playing defense back then. So the fact that now, like, the calling card for the Oklahoma Sooners is their defense, like, really does change things. And it has to be, right? If you're going to play in the SEC, if you're going to play in the Big Ten, like, you have to have defense. Like, that was always the joke amongst, like, the Big Ten SEC folks about the Big 12 was defense is optional. Like, you don't have to play defense. Like, Baylor's going to light it up. TCU is going to light it up. OU is going to light it up. Oklahoma State was going to like, everyone was lighting it up there. So they have made a massive change, going from, allowing 750 yards passing to being one of the best defenses in the country. And it's all because of Brent Venables. I mean, he had Georgia's offense in a blender. He had Ohio State's offense in a blender, except that his last game at Clemson, Ohio State, they finally figured it out. Justin Fields will help you be able to do that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Brent Venables, he's going to have some stuff going on this game. And I guarantee you, I'm not going to say with 100% certainty, but I can promise you he probably had a nice phone conversation with Matt Patricia this week, kind of talking about, like, talk to me about some of those defensive schemes. How did you have 3 over 2 like every time Texas dropped back? Because I want to do the same thing against Michigan, probably having some of those conversations. It again, kind of funny, last week my team was playing against your team's biggest rival, and then now this week your team is playing against my team's biggest rival. Really, really weird how the schedule makers made that work out this week. So,
yeah, and what I'm going to be counting on, obviously, as an Oklahoma fan, and I'm picking them to win. We know what Bryce Underwood's got to do to be able to win this game.
Yeah,
can he do that and wade through what Brent's going to be able to put together from a package standpoint? Can they do that and get it working quick enough to not be down by 10 or 14 quick?
Yeah. And this,
I don't think Michigan is going to be able to stop John Mateer from making the right play.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. I think, like, the only way that scheme works to be able to kind of go slow and steady and get Bryce Underwood comfortable is if Michigan's defense is able to slow down this Oklahoma offense, which Steve has said it over and over again on the show over the last couple of months. Oklahoma probably has one of the best overall backfields in college football this season. So, I mean, Michigan's going to have to really, really hone in on getting that run game stopped and force John Mateer to make bad decisions, which, I mean, we talked about it, 15 minutes ago. He's been doing it for a minute now. He's probably not going to make too many bad decisions.
100%.
So I'm really excited to watch this football game. I mean, it's the only ranked matchup this week. Did you realize that?
Really?
Yeah, this is the only ranked matchup this week. I mean, there's some other big games, right? Like, there's the border war. Mizzou, KU are playing this week, which, living in Kansas City, it's been kind of funny just hearing people talking, walking past them and stuff this week. But yeah, there's that. And then I think Oregon, Oklahoma State playing with everything that Mike Gundy and Dan Lanning have been going back and forth with each other. But those aren't ranked matchups. This is the only ranked matchup of the week. So this is going to be, an exciting game to watch. And I think Vegas knows it because they've only got a 5.5 point spread for the home team. And they've got the points total set at 43.5, which I feel is really, really low for this game.
Once again, if you're joining us, the Waterboys College Football pregame show, I am live from Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
Is it this?
Something like this right here or something. Yeah. And we're here at Pro Dreams. Unbelievable memorabilia in here, dude. I mean, they have got a Michael Jordan high school jersey in this place.
What?
Yeah, dude, it's wild. They got a wall of just bats. They're all signed by guys. I mean, baseball stadium is literally like right across the street here. If anybody doesn't know LSU college baseball, they kind of run it right now.
Really good baseball program.
Very good. I got a picture. also dating maybe the most famous athlete since Shaquille O'Neal come out of here, Livy Dunn, Paul Skeens,
Yep.
here at LSU. But shout out to Pro Dreams. It is really cool to come in here. And what I love is, there's so many like NFL jerseys from guys that played at LSU, NBA jerseys, guys that played at LSU. There's a lot of pictures, all that stuff around. And when we were out and around campus last night and we were walking around, this place, the size of the stadium, like the fact that like you're in the deep South, like we're in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. It is, dude, Death Valley is different.
Yeah. I mean, that's one of the main pieces of SEC country. I've never been to Baton Rouge, but everyone that I've ever talked to, I played with a lot of guys in college that came up from Louisiana. They were all big LSU fans. They're all still big LSU fans. They always talked about what a game day atmosphere was like in Baton Rouge. And it is a game that I'm going to have to try to get out to eventually. Wish I could have been down there with the boys this weekend. But wasn't able to make that work out. So I hope you guys have the best time. When you sent me that picture of outside the stadium yesterday, I was like, whew. And I showed Megan, and she was like, "Wow, that looks awesome."
It's just weird. Like,
yeah, it's like unknown territory, right? Like this is a football program that like you as an Oklahoma guy has like kind of really not like ever paid too much attention to outside of like their success. 2019, 2008. When they won that one.
The guys were asking me about it last night. They go, "You do realize the head-to-head matchup is like not good for you as an Oklahoma fan?" And I was like, thinking back, I was like, "So you are right. Like when we have matched up with LSU, it's not like gone our direction." But it's just wild atmosphere.
Yeah, 0-3.
Yeah, which just lately not gone well for us. And speaking of LSU, we go back to and I'm sure that we'll obviously talk about this on the LSU pregame show. LSU looked so much better than Clemson did so early in that game.
Yeah.
Garrett Nussmeier looked poised. He looked like the guy. And it's, I think LSU's really, set up incredibly well for this season. Quick reminder, here in about 10, 15 minutes, Jet's going to join us. We're going to do some picks, which is going to be fun because I don't think he knows much about college football in general.
That's true. That is true. Jet is learning. He can talk NFL for days. But he is learning the college football thing. Speaking of LSU legends, is there a Tyrann Mathieu jersey in there?
There is.
He was on. He did a really good job on the YouTube broadcast last night for that Chiefs Chargers game. It was actually really cool to see him.
Yeah, and they did, dude. And the swag of like the yellow and purple, like
it has so much aura. Like just the LSU brand in general just has like so much aura, and and like I think back to the 2019 team when their senior night when Joe Burrow came out in that Burrow jersey, but he had it spelled the EAUX, right? Is that how they did it? I can never remember like the Cajun respelling of that kind of stuff, but that's just another piece of kind of the aura that LSU has as a program. It's so cool.
All right, let's talk Oklahoma State and Oregon. Oklahoma State, Oregon was not an interesting matchup 2 weeks ago. No one looked at this thing on the schedule and was like, Oklahoma State, Oregon, big things, exciting. But you know what? When given an opportunity to say something that is just stupid as he can possibly say it, Mike Gundy will take every opportunity to do this. And he did. Decided to go at Oregon for the amount of NIL that they have, and then going as far as to say that out of conference games should be somehow done based on the amount of NIL that you can get. Like that should play a part in it.
What?
Now, yeah, like
I missed that piece of it.
And I don't even know what that means. Like I don't know if he's like saying only like, which is because if that's true, then like I guess Ohio State's going to play like Georgia and A&M every year. Like I don't know, like what out of conference? How are you going to rank? How are you going to get out of conference schedules?
Yeah, and smaller schools are going to die if that's the case. Like Grambling State is going to Ohio State today, and like their head coach already knows, like, yeah, I'm just like we're going to collect a check and get out of town, and hopefully everybody's safe, right? Like that's such a dumb idea for Mike Gundy. Mike Gundy might be the Jerry Jones of college football.
That's a great comparison.
Just he likes to talk, has to stay in the in the headlines. Fired his entire coaching staff except himself. I mean, obviously he's not going to fire himself, but like the Oklahoma
Lack
State
of success, never his fault.
Yeah, right. It's always his coach's fault. It's always his his players' fault. I would say that Mike Gundy is the Jerry Jones of college football.
Yeah, it's so weird. Shout out to the wife. The wife's in the chat. She says he's less rich though.
Much less rich.
Big thing that is in no way, shape comparable. But again, there was nothing about this matchup that was interesting to me, except for this. And I literally was thinking about this morning, and we were getting ready to drive over here to Pro Dreams. We do have two schools that, when you say uniform tradition, they go, "What's that?" We like to mix it up.
Yeah,
like,
and Oregon makes sense. Like
yes.
They're in Eugene. It's where Nike is. Like that makes sense. The Oklahoma State thing is like, what are we doing? And I'm partial to orange and black. Like my high school, I grew up wearing orange and black, 18 years of my life. Like I still have a hoodie from my senior season for when we had to travel for the state playoffs that I still wear religiously when it gets cold outside. Right. So the orange and black means a lot to me, but there's only so many ways that you can see that color combo before it's like, all right, pack it in. Like this is getting out of hand.
I mean, they did do, I don't know if they've done it. I don't know if it was last year or the year before, and I'm not sure if they've done it since, but they did go through that phase where they were using the like sheriff star on a lot of stuff. And I think what it probably is, and this is, I'm going to probably say something that's negative about Oklahoma here, but they are down the street from like one of the most boring, like from a branding standpoint, schools that there are. Like Oklahoma, how many years went along before they like had an alternate uniform, and then when they wear it, fans for the most part, if they're over the age of like 30, they're like, I don't like that.
Really? I think that's a really cool alternate.
Yeah, I do too. We've had the Bring the Wood jersey with the wood grain, and then last year or 2 years ago maybe was the Unity jersey in the we would all call it charcoal. Nike wants to be really clear, it's anthracite.
Is that sounds like a Marvel thing, like from comic books.
But I think that's part of it. And Oklahoma State, really ruckus atmosphere. It's a very underrated thing, and it is everything about a college town that you can think of. You drive into Stillwater, there's nothing else there, just the campus, Eskimo Joe's, and Hideaway Pizza. Like that is
Eskimo Joe's, baby.
That's Stillwater, Oklahoma. And we don't really know a whole lot about Oklahoma State. What I am disappointed in Oklahoma State about, and we talked about this at the beginning of the summer, when Oklahoma and Texas left the Big 12, it left the Big 12 wide open for someone like a Mike Gundy in Oklahoma State to step in and say, we can be the big dogs and run this conference. And they not only haven't done that, the two teams that everyone talks about are the two teams that are brand new to the conference in Arizona State and Colorado.
Yep.
And that is, if you're Mike Gundy, dude, you are the elder statesman in this conference. You can remember the big game Bob years. You can remember the Mac Brown, Vince Young national championship. You were in this conference. He was in this conference when Kansas State was still a powerhouse of, the Big 12. I don't understand how, if you're Oklahoma State and you're Mike Gundy, is the second that you hear Oklahoma and Texas are leaving, you don't go, okay, we're going to run this conference. And instead of looking at this game with Oregon and saying, this is a chance, we're going to have a lot of national eyeballs on us. We got Dan Lanning at Oregon coming in. Everybody, everyone loves Dan Lanning. People love Oregon. That's a Big Ten team. This is a big deal. This is a team that over the last 5 years has really become one of the programs to watch in college football.
They were number one team in the country last year for the entire season.
Yeah, like they're coming into Stillwater. We're going to show them that Oklahoma State football, what that's about, which traditionally has been play fast, a lot of offense. Mike Gundy's a quarterback guy. And instead, you decide to take shots at Oregon. I don't why give a team bulletin board material that is already probably going to curb stomp you.
I can tell you what I think it might be, and we've already kind of alluded to it. With Mike Gundy kind of being that Jerry Jones-esque figure, he's already giving the excuse for why Oklahoma State loses this game, because Oregon spends more money than they do.
And we talked about this last week. They have a donor who has put so much money into the program. His name is on like 50% of the campus.
Yeah.
Like Boone Pickens Stadium. Boone Pickens, rebuilt the baseball arena. Like Oklahoma State has a lot more money than they want to act like they have. And to be completely honest, Phil Knight and Nike put a lot of money into Oregon before there was NIL.
Yeah.
It didn't necessarily make Oregon better just all of the sudden. You can spend all the money in the world, but if you don't have the right coach, you don't have the right system, you don't have the right culture, it's not going to work. And I want to like Mike Gundy, I really do, because he's kind of a wild hair guy. You don't know what you're going to get. He's always kind of been acting a little younger than he is.
Yeah.
And then he does stuff like the cell phone commercial where he's like replaying the "I'm a man, I'm 40" thing, and you're like
53.
Like, dude, Mike, like, just like dude, you're the Oklahoma State Cowboys. There's nothing that's like more American, like red, white, and blue, like blue collar. You're the Oklahoma State Cowboys. Don't act like an elitist, like jackass. Like, it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, no, it is, and I don't even think that like your Oklahoma fandom is playing into what you're saying about Mike Gundy, because I think a lot of the same things. There was a point in time where I thought that Mike Gundy was in the upper echelon of coaches in college football, but that has long since passed away. I no longer think that about the man. I think that he has very much outstayed his welcome in Stillwater. And I don't know how they move on from him. I mean, they already basically said, like, you're here for life by firing his entire coaching staff and leaving him, right? Like, it's almost like he's got dirt on the AD or whatever board they have at Oklahoma State. But I don't know. It's weird. It's a really weird thing.
Yeah, I mean, you're stuck with him either way. I think Oregon wins this thing by as much as they want to win this game by.
They're 28.5-point favorites at home right now.
Like, yeah, listen, you're going to get beat, and you're going to get beat bad. So, and there you go. And Mike Gundy's already got the excuses ready to go. So, real quick, other game that I has actually gotten more of my interest as we've gone along. Ole Miss, Kentucky. We always talk about it that Mark Stoops and Kentucky have one under the belt every year that they're going to win that they shouldn't win. The question is going to be, is it week 2 and can it be Ole Miss?
Man, that would be awesome.
Like, and you almost feel bad that you basically are making the case that like Kentucky only has one game that they're like going to win that they're not supposed to win. and you look through their schedule, and the problem is that's pretty much their entire schedule. Like, they're not going to be favored in a whole lot of SEC conference games for them.
No.
Ole Miss obviously replacing a stud at quarterback who may or may not by week 5 be the starting quarterback for the New York Giants.
Yeah, I've got it set at week 6. I think that's when he takes over. The Jackson Dart era begins in New York, but yeah, he is massive shoes to fill at Ole Miss, and we know Lane Kiffin loves that man.
He does, and Lane Kiffin is he likes his quarterbacks, man. Like
he does. It's weird. Like makes me a little bit uncomfortable.
Yeah, when your quarterback is like, coach is my best friend. You're like, I don't know. That's like a 30-year age difference there. But
yeah, that's weird. Go to Chipotle and just meet someone else. Like just.
But they will be able to put points on the board. We all know that Ole Miss can do that. They like playing offense, and I don't know that Kentucky can slow them down. What I am looking for from Kentucky is I am a Mark Stoops guy. I think Mark Stoops has done an unbelievable job at Kentucky.
Oh, you like the Stoops family? What do you?
Shocker that
big shocker! Wow,
big shocker. I think Mark's done an unbelievable job. I think he's a little bit like Mike Gundy. Like, this is a basketball school. Like, he's doing his best he can to get football working at Kentucky, and he's had some 10-win seasons. He's done a good job. I don't know that this week 2 is the game, though, that he's going to put it together. I would probably I think Travis had said Florida maybe potentially a game that Kentucky, because they're going to have one that they –
yeah, they've got – looking at their upcoming games after this week, they've got Eastern Michigan at home next week, and then they go to South Carolina, to Georgia, Texas at home, Tennessee at home, at Auburn, and then Florida at home.
Not fun. That's
not a fun schedule for the Wildcats by any stretch of the word. Granted, I don't know how good Tennessee is this year.
Better than I thought they were. We're going to be in week 1. I will say that.
Yeah, there's a lot of questions there for them, but I mean, they've still got South Carolina and Lenora Sellers, who is, Waterboys really like Lenora Sellers. We really do.
Feel really high on him. I know that maybe some of the buzz dropped a little bit after week 1, which I kind of expected to. I still think Lenora Sellers. I think he could be between he and Garrett Nussmeier. I think those are 2 guys that will really be battling it out for SEC quarterback dominance this season. I really like the package. I'm a fan of Beamer ball. It's a fun brand of football. And I really think that they're going to do really well. I like him, and we're going to talk about it on the big show. But what do we need to see out of Arch Manning in week 2, Strez? Like, what is the thing that we've got to see out of Arch Manning? Because it is the hype has never gone from being so high to being so low for a young quarterback.
Dude, the yo-yo effect of the media, dude, I have been probably more fed up with sports media talking college football over the past 3 months than I have been in my entire life watching college football. And I've been an Ohio State fan since 2002. Obviously, my team has had some stuff come up in the past that, the media torched us for. But even then, the last 3 months and the way that the media has propped up Arch Manning has been so frustrating because there's no way that he was going to live up to those expectations.
No, not a chance.
And because he didn't live up to those expectations, everyone is now out on Arch Manning.
Yeah, he just sucks. He went from the greatest in the world.
So dumb. Sucks. Yeah, what are we doing? He played his first out-of-state start. This is the first time he threw a pass outside of the state of Texas, was against Ohio State in week 1, their banner-raising day. All of the guys from the national championship team were in town last week. They redid their game day atmosphere. It was... And Ohio State brought in a defensive psychopath in Matt Patricia.
Yeah.
And it's just like anyone with a functioning brain knew that Arch was going to go out and have a really tough time against that Ohio State defense. And the fact that he did, now the media has completely done a 180 and they're like, yeah, we're out. Like our Heisman favorite is now, DJ Lagway or, Lenora Sellers or Garrett Nussmeier, which probably should have been their favorites all along. If we're talking truthfully, like we've kind of talked about on the show several times, we think Arch Manning might be the fourth best quarterback in the SEC. And with the way Jean Mateer looked last week, might be the fifth best quarterback in the SEC. Yeah. So it's really frustrating to kind of see the yo-yoing effect. Because Arch Manning, I think, can be a very good quarterback in college football, a very good quarterback in the SEC, but there is no way that he was ever going to live up to that hype and expectation that the national sports media was putting onto him. And this is why I think more people should tune in to the Waterboys College Football show every week, because we're going to tell you what you really need to be thinking. Okay?
Yeah. And the thing that I think kind of stinks about it is the hype that has come for Arch did not come from Arch.
No. He hasn't asked for it at all. Yeah. Outside of being born into the Manning family, he hasn't asked for a single ounce of this. He is like so quiet and so kept to himself and hasn't won at all. He's done a couple commercials, but like it's because he's getting NIL money. Which, by the way, that Warby Parker commercial, probably the funniest one that I've seen from a guy who had a really tough time playing against the defense in his first action.
Can't complete one pass, and then you go to commercial, and it's like,
look at my glasses.
Until I got my glasses, and you're like, oh no.
Yeah, that was too funny.
Yeah, we're gonna bring Jet in here. We're getting him squared up because we're gonna talk Bill Belichick, and it's been this week. The fact that was the Monday night game for college football, and that's the thing that has dominated the news is, hey, coaching college football a little bit harder than anybody thinks.
Yeah.
Welcome in, Jet Boyer from Washed Up Sports. How we feeling this morning?
What up, baby?
Hold on. Can I hear you?
His mic's muted. I unmuted him.
Oh, are you 3?
How about now? Maybe I'm 4.
Are you 4?
How about now, though? How we doing?
There we go.
There we go.
What's up, boys?
All right. Give us your first thoughts on Louisiana, on Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and LSU as this kind of both of our first experiences at Baton Rouge.
Dude, it's freaking incredible out here. As somebody who my only experience like with any type of college football town has been up with A&M, going to Kyle Field. Most notable game I've ever been to was Malik Hooker's year. Hit the battle that he had with Kellen Mond at Kyle Field.
Oh, Kellen Mond. That's a name I haven't heard in a minute.
Yeah,
Great pull.
That's my only experience really. And, don't get me wrong. Going up to a college station is great. It's a good college football town. I'm sorry guys, but Baton Rouge just does different. Death Valley's different. Dude, it just is. We've been going around here. You feel the anticipation. You feel the hype. I don't feel like I'm going to be trying to get converted into some cult, which is nice. Like I'm walking around with a bunch of Jehovah's Witnesses, but it's been awesome. Tell me where else in America, Strez, that you can go and see a live tiger in the wild, though.
Yeah, Kansas City Zoo. Next time you guys are in town, we'll go grab some barbecue. Yeah. I don't know that the Kansas City Zoo has any tigers.
That's a good question. Yeah. Somebody in the chat let us know.
I only go to the Penguins exhibit because the Penguins are mine.
Houston Zoo definitely has tigers. I can tell you that for sure. Frequent it quite often.
You got kids. When you got young kids, that's a great place to
Yeah, every year for Benjamin's birthday, we go. That's a big thing. Take him out. He doesn't go to school. Go to Houston Zoo.
All right, boys, let's talk Bill Belichick. Whew. Rough.
Yeah.
And I think the thing that made it even worse is that game felt like an NFL Monday night game.
It was so hyped up, and Bill got so much, like they were at his practices, listening to how he coaches the college guys at practice. He had that pregame interview. It was like pre-recorded, but it like played before the game. I forget who he did that with, and they mentioned, they asked if he remembered his first NFL start, and he was like, "That went terrible. They blew us out. I hope that doesn't happen this week." And then 4 hours later, you look at the scoreboard, and it's like, "Uh-oh, it happened."
I remember before he went to the Patriots, his first Jets appearance, and that lasted all of 8 hours.
Yeah, and what stinks about it is it started fast.
It did. That first drive looked great.
Like
they need to script all 70 plays. That's what they need to do on offense.
Guys, am I crazy? But like the first, I don't know, 4 defensive series, it looked like old school Bill Belichick. Like, okay, this guy is going to turn something out of nothing, just out of absolute like David Blaine, David Copperfield type of stuff, right? And then it was like, poof.
Yeah, it just ran out. It was mind-boggling to me how fast whatever they had that could work, just they shot all of it at the very beginning, and that was it. And obviously shout out Trayvon Boykin, TCU legend. He was in fact he did the watch along last night.
Yeah, he did.
So much fun. Sonny Dykes, dude, TCU does not get the respect that they should. Texas Christian University has absolutely zero reason to be as good at college football as they are. They don't have a huge stadium. It's not like someplace that when you start thinking like, oh, football powerhouses like Texas Christian University. Sonny Dykes knows how to coach football. The man played for a national championship just a couple of years ago.
Like they're 3 years removed from a national championship appearance.
Thinking back on it, it is incredibly disrespectful how a coach there at Texas Christian, we're not talking about the University of Texas. This isn't Texas Tech. This isn't Texas A&M. TCU played for a national championship 3 years ago, and the national media walked into that game on Monday like, here we go. Bill Belichick has showed up on campus at North Carolina. College football now has a new like blue blood on their hands. And I think Sonny Dykes at TCU took it personal. And the way that they were able to adapt so quickly to whatever Bill had scripted out, they made this like Hollywood A-lister game immediately look like every other UNC football game that has happened in the last like 10 years.
And to your point, Aaron, that you always bring up, like, UNC it's primarily a basketball school. You got Michael Jordan out of his cave. You got him off of the racetrack,
off the yacht.
Yeah, and got him in that game to be absolutely embarrassed on national television. Which I guess at this point, he should have a little experience in his new ventures with his race team for the first few years.
Yeah.
So maybe there's a little grace there. Shout out to Team 23 because they recently been doing pretty well, but first few years.
Well, it's got the same thing with Charlotte Bobcats. I mean, and you feel bad because at the very beginning they show they showed up top, and it's like the holy trinity of North Carolina athletics.
Yes. You
got Lawrence Taylor, Roy Williams, and Michael Jordan. And you're like, okay, like this is gonna work. And the only thing that concerned me about North Carolina is I know that they wanted to set this up to be an NFL program.
Yeah.
Like I understand that Bill's a head coach, GM. He's letting his coordinators coach their positions as if they're the head coach of the offense, head coach of the defense. In fact, he wasn't even in huddles during the game. Like, I get that is like the way that they wanted to do it. I don't know that you could do that at the college level I think Bill's going to have to adapt to the way he coaches football, because this could go bad and keep going bad. And the worst thing I would want to think after maybe a season or two at North Carolina is this be the thing for younger football fans. This be the thing that they remember Bill Belichick for. Wasn't that old guy that was dating that like good looking young girl, and he had 2 really bad years at North Carolina? Like, if you're a football fan, that would absolutely break your heart. If that is for younger football fans, like under the age of 18, that's the legacy of Bill Belichick when it comes to the game of football.
Yeah, but
not 2 decades worth of dominance in the NFL.
Right.
Like, he's the reason why I hate the New England Patriots.
Yeah.
One of the 2 reasons.
But also too, guys, like, I'll give him this. Like, I was very impressed by the fact that at least, say what you want about Belichick, which, by the way, yes, I'm coining that. Bill banning New England scouts from North Carolina, I think does send a message. And I appreciate that from Bill, that he's at least trying to show, like, I don't want this to be about me.
Right.
I want this to be about these kids. I wanted this to be about building a program. I want this to be about, because I think for Bill, like, and we've seen this, right? Like with Colorado, with Deion. Deion's a lot more charismatic, but in the same way brings a legacy, right? Guys want to come play for him. And it's not always just about that, because everyone has a different personality. But the reality situation is, what has he made that coaching staff up of? Former players that have legacy as well. I think for Bill, he's trying to make it come from a standpoint of, maybe Bill isn't recruiting the way as everyone else. But I listened to, he was under fire here recently about his recruiting process and how he went about that, and neglecting players and making them wait. But I did like what he said. He was like, it's a very overwhelming process. There's a lot going on that day. You're seeing a lot of things. And the last thing I want to do is have these kids have to worry about coming and sitting down in front of the head coach on the same day. And for most people, that may not be a big deal in college football from that coach, even if you have a legacy. But Bill Belichick, Deion Sanders, right? Guys like that, Dabo Swinney, like these type of guys, whether you like them or not, they carry a different kind of weight and intimidation factor because of the pressure that you're immediately taking on, like, just automatically, because there is immediate expectation. And I did like what he said about that. And I think that, honestly, maybe the best thing for UNC for this season, for this team, to level expectations, because we know how the media likes to go and spin this stuff and make things way bigger than they should. Take it off of them. Do it early so everyone forgets about it.
Well, and both Colorado and UNC have one thing in common. They both sucked for years.
Yes.
And UNC wasn't the worst team in college football like CU was, but they have been consistently barely qualifying for bowl games.
Yeah, and I think, like we saw it happen with Colorado. Everyone just thought, well, Deion Sanders, he has arrived, ladies and gentlemen. Colorado is going to be a blue blood in 2 seasons. It is so tough to take a program, and Deion had a very different way of doing it. He was the rip the Band-Aid off guy. He's having meetings where he's basically like, you all suck. You should just transfer right now because none of you are going to make it.
Which he wasn't wrong.
No.
Maybe a better way to get that message across next time, Coach Prime, but he was not wrong.
Right. And I think for Bill, one of the things I didn't like was, I think it was the pregame, they were saying, it's going to take a while for Bill to come in and build back the legacy of UNC football. I was like, what legacy of UNC football are you talking about?
Yeah, the only thing that you really have, if you really want to, to me, most notably, is right before you with Mac Brown, producing some mediocre quarterbacks.
Yeah, at
in
like
the NFL.
85 years old, they put Mac Brown on the sideline 10 years after, the Vince Young years. That's the best that UNC football has been in my lifetime, really.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely right. And I think part of it was I pulled up, this is from the Tar Heels Wire from USA Today. They had a budget of $4 million to spend on NIL on the football team during that Mac Brown era. But when Belichick came to town, that went up by $16 million, and now they've got a $20 million budget NIL. So it's not going to look the way that we think it can look in year one, but that $20 million is going to start talking to a lot of guys. A lot of guys from some major programs who are probably like number 2, number 3 on the depth chart.
Yep.
Number 2 and number 3 on the depth chart at schools like Ohio State, Texas, Oklahoma, Michigan, Georgia, Alabama. Those guys are already better football players than whoever number 1 is for North Carolina. And so when they can get that and start swinging with the big boys in the NIL era, I think that's going to completely change the outlook for the Tar Heels football team and that program moving forward. But the problem is Bill Belichick ain't young.
No.
I mean, like they don't have his girlfriend's extremely young. I mean, maybe he hands over the reins and she becomes head coach in 4 years. But I mean, obviously, it's probably going to be his son. But like, if they want the Bill Belichick era to work the way that I think a lot of people think that it can work, including I think that I don't know if you guys think this, but I would say for the three of us, like I think we think it can work. Yeah. I think UNC could be back on top of the ACC eventually, but he's how old? 74.
Yeah, he's not as young guy.
And also, too, Stress, I mean, you remember what just happened this week, guys? You had Robert Kraft coming out and basically like, which I like what he did, because people were wondering, well, why did Brady get a statue and Belichick didn't get a statue? That feels a little, like you're leaving somebody out. And he said, Tom retired and is done with football.
Right.
Bill, when he is ready and he's done with football, will get a statue on the other side of the stadium. Yep. And I'm sorry, but if you're a guy, if you don't believe that something like that is important to a guy like Bill Belichick, who has literally created a legacy that rivals any coach in the history of football in general, that's important. And that means something when you're 74 years old. That means something when you sign a massive contract. You've accomplished everything from the standpoint of professional football that you could ever probably accomplish. And let's be honest, you got Belichick over there that you're now engaged to. And at what point do you want to keep doing this when you know that you can have a legacy cementing thing like that and you don't really have to do much?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Real quick, we are live from Death Valley. We are in Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
Down here in the bayou.
We've got the tailgate takeover. It's coming up at 3:00 Central. We're going to be basically doing everything we can to take over Death Valley. We're here at Pro Dreams, Tingle & Co., a couple of LSU guys that do a really, really awesome podcast and show here in Baton Rouge. Are going to be teamed up with us. We'll be live for 2 hours, 3 to 5, and then 6:30 p.m. kickoff for LSU, Louisiana Tech. First home game, in-state game, all the recipe you need for a bunch of craziness. And the tailgates, were out this morning at like 7:45 as we were driving in.
Not shocking at all.
Nah, they're ready to go. So shout out to LSU, knows how to do it. Tailgate takeover featuring Tingle & Company. We are here at Pro Dreams. That's coming up at 3:00. All right, boys, let's get into picking some games, because while there is only one ranked matchup, which is Michigan and Oklahoma, there are some other games that are happening today. So let's go ahead and start going through the gauntlet. We'll save Ohio State, Michigan for the first, or for the for the last one.
Oklahoma, Michigan. Ohio State, Michigan. I don't want to think about that game for another 2 months.
Which you are already getting chirped in the chat. I couldn't put it up because
I know
show, but
hey, when you're number one, everybody hates you, baby. Let's go, Bucks.
Hate us.
All right. Ole Miss, Kentucky. We were stressed. I think in the first hour of the show, we were really trying to talk ourselves into is this the one Mark Stoops can pull out and Kentucky can win? It's really hard to say that. I will say, let's look up real quick. I'm going to look up Ole Miss's schedule because a lot of this on how well Ole Miss can play, how many points they're going to put on the board.
I've got it up here. So after today at Kentucky, they have Arkansas at home, Tulane at home, LSU at home, Washington State at home. So they've got 4 straight home games coming up after this week. And then they go to Georgia. They go to Oklahoma. Then they've got South Carolina at home. And then a classic SEC early November game against the Citadel. And then that's one everybody will be tuning in for, baby. And then Florida.
Yeah, baby.
And then they finish this season up with the Egg Bowl at Mississippi State.
Hey, SEC, listen, I'm an Oklahoma fan. Our schedule the last 2 years freaking sucks. Can we get Ole Miss's schedule where we don't have to leave Norman for the entire month? That'd be awesome. So yeah, next week they got Arkansas coming to town. That's not going to be necessarily a huge marquee matchup, but Sam Pittman for the 3rd season in a row is coaching for his job and trying to hold off Bobby Petrino. So that puts this as a weird game because obviously after Arkansas you got Tulane, and if you're Ole Miss, you're looking at that LSU game. That's going to be the game. So really today you just need to come out and handle business. If I am Lane Kiffin, I wouldn't try to mix this up. I wouldn't try to do anything cute. Get out there, get the job done, keep it simple, keep it vanilla. I'm going to go ahead and pick Ole Miss on this game, and it's probably going to be pretty broad score. What's the over under on this game?
Ole Miss is favored by 8.5, and the total is 50.5 points.
That's a lot.
It is a lot.
50.5 is a lot.
An SEC conference game.
Yeah. I'd probably take the under for sure on this game, but if you were asking me to put I think Ole Miss wins by 2 touchdowns. I wouldn't be shocked though if first quarter Mark Stoops figures out a way to do something to throw Lane Kiffin off. But I think the depth in the trenches, I think the depth at wide receiver and everything will get the best of Kentucky at some point in this game.
Yeah, I'm going to be taking Ole Miss too. I can't remember earlier in the week if I took Kentucky or not.
I think we all tried to talk ourselves into Kentucky.
Yeah. I mean, Steve, one of the fellow Waterboys, he's a Kentucky guy. We were trying to pull for him, but it's just oh man, it's Kentucky. I think about Kentucky the same way that I kind of think about Northwestern.
Yeah.
And Purdue in the Big Ten. So yeah, I'm gonna take Ole Miss in this one too. I definitely think they cover, and I also think that the under hits.
Yeah, I'm also gonna go Ole Miss. One thing that I'll tell you this much: Ole Miss this year got a lot of transfers in that have a lot of, I think, potential to come in and really provide a boost to that offense for Lane Kiffin that you have to regroup from losing a Trey Harris, from losing your quarterback in Jackson Dart, and there's a lot of
which we were saying could be the starting quarterback for the New York Giants by week 6. So
150%. I'm going to spare you guys my gushing over Jackson Dart today on this show at least.
And Trey Harris also. Shout out Trey Harris got his first catch last night. Ole Miss alum.
Which also
Jets draft crush, Trey Harris.
Yeah. And also you were talking about the TCU team. That same TCU team had a guy that surprisingly showed up off the milk carton last night in Quentin Johnston, who we all thought was an absolute just lock to potentially get cut.
Yeah.
And, had a really good game.
2 touchdowns. I think that's how I think he matched his season total from last year in with this one game.
Oh, 100% he did. Yeah. For me, the biggest, I think, key for Ole Miss is going to be how quickly can Austin Simmons adapt. I really like Austin Simmons. Austin Simmons, for those of you who aren't familiar with his game, 3-star recruit last year, was a freshman. Was a dual threat athlete in high school. Ended up leading Hoagie to a 9-3 record coming out of high school, and in the regional finals of Florida's 1R playoffs. actually broke the Blue Devils' single-season passing mark, which, funny enough, was held by NFL wide receiver and legend Anquan Bolden. So fun fact for you there. But I think Austin Simmons has a big arm. You know, they played Georgia State in their first game. He 20 for 31, 341 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. And that's what scares me.
He's got to take care of the football.
Got to take care of the football. That's a big tune-up game. However, Austin Simmons coming in here, big shoes to fill, a lot of pressure. It's at home up there, at Oxford. And as we all know, that is a very loud
ruckus.
So I'm very excited to see what Simmons can do. But I think as long as Simmons takes care of the football, I think obviously we know Lane Kiffin is one of the best offensive minds in college football. And I think that he's going to set him up to be successful. And here's the deal, too. I don't think that any of us on here right now are going to argue that Ole Miss is notorious for quarterbacks that of the last 5 years. They do have high highs and very low lows. So I don't expect anything different from a kid who this is going to be his real full season starting.
Nope, 100% agree. All right, Oklahoma State and Oregon. Again, no one cared about this game 2 weeks ago. No one cared about Oklahoma State, Oregon. I will give Mike Gundy credit. He has figured out a way for Oklahoma State, Oregon to all of a sudden be interesting. For those of you that maybe you're not paying attention, Oklahoma State, maybe the only time in the history of college football that the school went to the head coach and said, we need something to change. We need something to work. And the answer was, I'm going to fire my entire coaching staff, except I'm going to stay and I'm going to rebuild it from the ground up. Still one of the wildest things I have ever read when that story dropped. Oklahoma State at Oregon. Mike Gundy's talked a little bit of smack, talking about how Oregon has got all this money and Oklahoma State doesn't have all this money. Oklahoma State is 1-0. When Texas and Oklahoma left to go to the SEC, the Big 12 should have been Oklahoma State's conference to lose. And unfortunately, lose they have. I don't see any way that Oklahoma State keeps this close. I think with the extra bulletin board material that Mike Gundy gave Dan Lanning, I think this is going to be one of those games where Dan Lanning, uncharacteristically maybe, is going to go, we're going to hang half 100 on him and go home, to quote Barry Switzer. This one could get out of hand and get out of hand quick.
Yeah. Knowing where Dan Lanning went to college, being a fellow William Jewell Cardinal with the head coach of the Oregon Ducks, we William Jewell boys know how to hold on to a grudge. If you wrong us, we will wrong you back tenfold. And I mean, I can think of was it last season that the Oregon Colorado game?
Yep.
Like, no one thought CU was going to go in and win that game, but somehow Dan Lanning found a way to get the team up for that game. The whole clicks versus winning thing. He knows how to get his team up, and now Mike Gundy delivered it to him on a silver plate. It was like, hey, here you go. Have this. Take this and tell your team that is a top 10 team in the country that also outspends us by $25 million every year. Tell them this and see if they get mad and want to play us better.
Yeah, I was trying to look at it. Do you have the line pulled up by chance?
Yeah, it's Oregon's favored by 28.5 points. Game is in Eugene, and the over-under is 55.5. So 28.5 point spread and a 55.5 point over is going to be ugly.
Yeah, I'm taking Oregon, and I'm probably taking Oregon by 35.
Yeah,
I think this is going to be one of those games. It's going to be as out of hand as Dan Lanning in Oregon wants it to be. And if he wants to prove a point and shove it down Mike Gundy's throat, I think as a self-subscribed member of Sooner Nation, we would love Dan Lanning if at any point somehow you see this before the game today, absolutely shove that down Mike Gundy's throat. Like that kind of comment to talk about money. when you're half of your campus is named after one of the most wealthy oilmen in history is a wild thing to say, to already try to start setting your team up for the excuse of we're going to get blown out in Eugene. So I'm taking Oregon by 1 billion.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Oregon covers easily, and they also hit the over. I think Oregon hits the over by themselves. I could see them going out and scoring 56, 63 points in a game like this. Yeah, I mean, talent level, coaching, it's in Oregon. I mean, there's no reason to think that Oklahoma State. I mean, this game will be close, and then they'll kick off. So that's kind of how this one's gonna go.
This could be a flex it game. Like Dan Lanning ordered, just get to go flex for national television today,
and they can keep it relatively vanilla. I think a vanilla Oregon offense is going to be enough to just absolutely embarrass the Cowboys.
Yeah, because I mean, let's be honest here. Tennessee Martin Skyhawks aren't necessarily what we look at as like the pride of college football by any stretch of imagination. And Oklahoma State only put 27 on them.
Yeah.
And for the record, your 3-star recruit Zane Flores didn't even throw a touchdown. Threw for under 150 yards. Yeah. And I really liked Dante Moore. You know, redshirt freshman, started at UCLA. I look at this, and I know that Strez is going to love this. There's some similarities here to his first year at UCLA and what we saw from a guy named Bo Nix that was pretty successful. Woo! And so you come in, transfer over, sitting behind Dylan Gabriel, and then you
learn from a guy that's played a lot of football.
A lot of football.
You go, do exactly what you should have against Montana State. You put 59 on them. You went 18 for 23, 213, and you threw 3 touchdowns. Like, I'm trusting that guy over the other guy. And I think Lanning's a better head coach. I think Oregon's got a lot more firepower. That defense, I think, is way better than anything that Oklahoma State's got. So, yeah, give me Oklahoma State. And I mean, give me Oregon over Oklahoma State. And Strez, I love your take there, and I agree. I think Oregon hits the over on their own.
Maybe by halftime.
Yeah. I mean, it could be over by half.
Yeah, it'll be probably over by start of the second quarter. But shout out Dan Lanning. If you ever want to come on the show, Cardinal is her color, Jewel is her name. High upon the hill she stands, and we will fight to keep her fame. Loyalty, allegiance, alma mater true. We will love thee, serve thee forever, William Jewell.
Come on the pod, Dan. Come on the show.
Let's talk about the glory days of William Jewell college football.
All right, second to last game that we're going to talk about, Iowa State in-state matchup. 2 schools underratedly. People don't know how much Iowa State fans hate each other.
It's pretty funny.
Like, Iowa State has got this weird chip on their shoulder because Iowa, quote unquote, is a historical, program in college football. I would also call the biggest snooze fest in the history of college football. Good Lord, watching Iowa football is rough. It is slow. It's methodical. It is 10 yards in a cloud of dust, and it is not fun. But listen, Iowa kid has put some athletes out. They got one that just got his first Super Bowl ring. Like, Iowa's a historical program. Iowa State, though, Matt Campbell.
Love me some Matt Campbell.
Matt Campbell has had a lot of opportunities to go coach at bigger schools.
And every offseason.
His name comes
over
up.
The past 5 years. I mean, for me personally, the Jets, every head coach vacancy for the last 2 vacancies, they have brought Matt Campbell in, and God bless him. He's come both times, and both times said, I'm good.
Yeah, his name floated when the Cowboys were getting rid of McCarthy. He's a guy that you kind of love because he loves coaching at Iowa State, and this is his spot. This is where he's going to be. They know how to put a bunch of points up on the board. He's got a guy that starting for the 49ers that he had there, Mr. Irrelevant. He was blowing him up, saying, hey, this guy can play. And everyone was like, yeah, Brock Purdy, way too small. Fast forward, guy is playing for a Super Bowl. So, like, Matt Campbell knows how to coach. That what it's going to come down to really is Iowa, with the way that they play offense and the methodical nature and the way they control the clock, are they going to be able to slow the game down so much that they make this thing a gritty, like lean on each other, like heavyweights after, fight after 3 rounds where guys are just leaning on each other and it's not pretty to watch. My hope is, and why I'm taking Iowa State. I would love for this to be a statement game because, again, we're talking about a Big 12 that is wide open. Somebody in the Big 12 has got to be able to say, we are the best team in the Big 12. And it would be great for college football. It'd be great for the Big 12 for it to be Matt Campbell and Iowa State. And so I'm looking for this to be a statement game for Iowa State, looking for Matt Campbell to say, hey, listen, I know everybody's talking about Arizona State. Listen, I've won a lot of football games. I have beat Oklahoma and Texas. I have played in games that I had no business being in and being able to pull out wins. I'm a big-time college football coach. Looking for Iowa State to make a statement. I'm taking them by 14.
Really?
Yeah. I'm looking for Matt Campbell to drop the gauntlet today and say he runs the Big 12. I'm looking for somebody in the Big 12 to do that today. Why not Matt Campbell?
That would be, I would be shocked if this game was a 14-point difference. I'm looking at the spread right now. It's 3.5. Iowa State's favored at home in the Cyhawk series. By the way, shout out to the college football schedule makers.
Yeah.
After last week having 4 top 10 matchups, and then this week there's only 1 ranked matchup, they gave us the Cyhawk game and the Border War.
Yep.
Thank you for keeping college football interesting in week 2. I really appreciate that one. But yeah, this is just going to be really interesting. Can Rocco Becht and that Iowa State offense move the ball against an Iowa defense that is a really good defense year in and year out? I'm not sold on Rocco Becht yet. I know a lot of people are drinking the Kool-Aid, that Rocco Becht Kool-Aid. I don't know that I'm there yet. This is the game where he could earn my support, honestly, if he goes out and does what he can do. And then, this was my upset for the week. I'm taking Iowa in this one. I think that there is a chance that Iowa is, they're so well coached. They're clean. They play really disciplined, sound football. And this is one of those games where it's probably going to be close in the fourth quarter and some weird special teams touchdown happens, a fake field goal here or a punt return for a touchdown there. So I could see Iowa pulling out this one. And so I'm actually going to take Iowa to win this game. It just in an upset form. 1 point, last second field goal, maybe. I don't know. I think Iowa can win this one, especially if they keep it within 40 total points, 35 total points. I definitely think people should take the under on this one if you are a betting person. I don't think there's going to be a lot of points scored by either team. So I'm taking Iowa to win this game.
Oh, that's interesting strategy. Dude, I like Iowa State a lot. I tell you what, one thing about Iowa State that always impresses me is you can say what you want about, their quarterbacks and the system he runs. Those quarterbacks are always efficient.
Yeah, very.
Always. Like Rocco missed 1 pass last week. 1 pass. And my biggest thing that I like about this Iowa State offense, just obviously through week 1, that, you had Noel, you had Higgins, both guys get drafted back-to-back in the later rounds of the draft this year, both to the Texans. And, it's kind of the question is who's going to step up. And historically for them, guys like Alan Lazard coming out of there, not a lot of tight ends, right? No. Which is interesting because we look at Iowa on the flip side, a lot of guys. Yeah. They got a kid here, it's a junior, Gabe Burkle. I love me some Gabe Burkle. 6'6", 255. And funny enough, again, they played South Dakota Coyotes, not necessarily anything to write home about, but man, Burkle, 4 receptions, led the team in receiving with a touchdown, averaged over 20 yards in per catch. And I think that we might start seeing a lot more tight end play this year. And if that's the case, good Lord, guys, we've seen like over the last 4 years, 5 years, how dominant these tight ends being built the way that they are now in college football, the difference maker they can be. And I just like what that can bring to the table on top of the fact that Dylan Lee looks like another Iowa State running back that could potentially just cement himself for another 4 years. And you go off of Breece Hall and jump into Dylan Lee. Give me Iowa State, and I think it's 2 touchdowns.
Here's an interesting stat for you guys. In this series, the last 5 matchups, they didn't play in 2020 because of the COVID year. So in this series, in the last 5 matchups, the home team has lost each of the last 5 matchups.
Wow.
So, and last year, Iowa State won at Iowa 20-19, 23. Iowa won at Iowa State 20-13. The year before that, Iowa State won 10-7. It's one of those series where it's, grind it out, play perfect. Someone's going to make a mistake, which I think that's why I think I'm going to be taking Iowa this one.
I got a question for you, Strez. Do you have faith in Gronowski?
No. It doesn't matter who's playing quarterback at Iowa. I don't have faith in their quarterback. It could be the child of Joe Burrow and Tim Tebow playing quarterback at Iowa eventually, and I still wouldn't trust that quarterback.
Because guy that played the majority of his career at South Dakota State, lot different opponent base here.
Much. And he sucked last week.
Dude.
But again, it's Iowa. When have they had a quarterback that's been a world beater? And they have made Big Ten championship after Big Ten championship. This is just an Iowa football team that knows how to win football games. It's gonna be a fun game. This one kicks off at 11 here, so I'm actually really excited to watch this one.
All right. Before we do that, don't forget, Jet and I are live, Baton Rouge, Louisiana. A lot of fun here at Pro Dreams. It's everything you need. Like if you're in the area, or listen, you're wanting to get some stuff, you can go online and get some stuff. Pro Dreams has everything you need for sports memorabilia. Tons of jerseys, lots of pictures, helmets galore from all LSU greats, and just a ton of NFL, MLB guys. It's crazy, unbelievable.
Yeah, Aaron. So real quick, got a little something special for everybody who tuned in for us today. So as you know, guys, we've been down here. We got here yesterday, and the boys have had a week. Boys have had a week. We are exhausted. We've been running all over the place, and we got in last night and got stuff shot, running around again as normal. And we got back to the Airbnb to kind of start getting things situated for tomorrow. And let me just tell you something. When you get 3 grown men in a house together, you quickly understand that there is not probably a man alive that doesn't have some type of a snoring or sleep tank.
Oh yeah. 100%.
And dear God, as the night owl of the group, I experienced that firsthand.
Hey, that's the kind of story cracked me up this morning when I woke up and looked at that.
And luckily, I have prepared that video for everyone who may have missed it. And I'd like to share a little bit, if y'all don't mind, with the listeners of what happened last night.
Currently 2 a.m. Day of tailgate kickoff. Oh, I should be there. Waterboys Pregame Show starts at 8. That's not the point. Me and Hunter and Aaron are all in the same Airbnb. I'm about to go to sleep. I've been editing. And if you can hear this absolute brute of a human being that is sucking in the ceiling out there in the living room, I feel like there's either one, an exorcism going on out there, or two, he's impersonating a bear in his sleep. And then I have Aaron making old man sounds in there, coughing erratically. I get a few sneezes from time to time. Pray for me.
It is what it is, man. It is what it is.
And Aaron also, too, gets up to pee more than any person I've ever been around in my life.
Hey, he's well hydrated.
You know what?
Something like that.
I like where your head went, not to he's 40 years old. All right, last game of the day, boys, that we're going to pick. Oklahoma, Michigan. This is our Big Top 25 matchup. Number 15, Michigan heads to Norman. Number 18, Oklahoma. Stress and I basically talked about it for 40 minutes this morning.
Yeah, we did.
So we are very well versed in what this is. The big key here for Oklahoma is you have John Mateer, and you have got your guy. You have got a guy that's played a ton of college football. He has put up a unreal amount of stats. Just last year alone at Washington State, 224 of 347, 3,100 passing yards, 29 passing touchdowns to only 7 interceptions, rushed 178 times for 826 yards and 15 touchdowns, led the FBS in total touchdowns responsible with 44, 29 passing, 15 rushing. And that guy brought all that swag, all that leadership to Norman, Oklahoma. And now Oklahoma has really got a lot going on their defense. They're able to get pressure on a quarterback really quick. You take all of that, wrap that up in Bryce Underwood, freshman quarterback. This is his first start on the road. You're going to make him go to Norman, Oklahoma, college game day in the building. He's going to be a 6:30 kick, Boomer Sooner chance going. He is in a place that is hallowed ground in the history of college football. He is going to be running on the same turf that Adrian Peterson ran on, that Baker and Kyler threw the ball all over the field. You're going to take all that pressure, put it on a 19-year-old kid. I don't see any way that Oklahoma doesn't win this game. And I think Brent is going to be able to watch what Ohio State has been able to do. He's going to be able to look at, other schools that have done really well against young quarterbacks and go, you ain't seen nothing yet. I'm Brent Venables. I beat football powerhouses for a living. That's what I do as a defensive coordinator. And he doesn't have to call offense this year. He's got Ben Arbuckle. I'm taking Oklahoma by 7, and I am hoping that it's by 30.
Bryce Young turned 18 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, okay. I changed my mind. Oklahoma by 70. No, I'm just kidding. Oklahoma. I'm still taking them by 14. But yeah, dude, I mean, come on. We're talking about, we just saw what happens when the national media overhypes a quarterback and he has to go to a college football blue blood for his first road start. We just saw how well that worked out. And Arch Manning, if you listen to anyone 3 weeks ago, was God's gift to college football, and he's the best thing that happened to college football since the invention of college football. And what happened when a guy that knew how to coach defense, that knew how to put pressure on a young quarterback, he looked bad. And Brent Venables knows how to get after a quarterback, and he has got the defensive pass rushers that he needs this season to be able to do that. And we were talking about it. It's going to take a couple of series for Bryce Underwood to get comfortable. The problem is what we have seen with John Mateer, even in the first game, is John Mateer just needs for you to go, hey, time to play football, and he's comfortable. He's ready to play football. So if you're Michigan, if you're not careful, you could get down by 2 scores quick, and now you're going to ask a freshman quarterback that is even old enough to buy a beer in Norman, Oklahoma, to now put you on his back and try to get you back into a game. And that's what I think happens really early. So I think Oklahoma gets it by anywhere from 10 to 14.
Yeah, I think it's a really good pick. My questions around Oklahoma or Michigan is how good is Bryce Underwood, and I think he can be a really good quarterback. I don't know if it's happening this year or not. And what is that defense going to look like this season? They had a lot of guys over the last couple of years get drafted into the NFL from that defense. Not exactly the same group of guys in the middle. Not exactly the same group of guys on the back end. It'll be an interesting test, and we're going to find out a lot about both Oklahoma and Michigan in this football game. But I just think I think it's too tall of a task for Bryce Underwood in this environment. We talked about it, when we were talking about the game earlier. 6:30 kick. He has to learn so much about traveling as a freshman football player. He has to learn how to get up for a game, what time you can start getting up for this game, when to start your pregame playlist, when to start letting your adrenaline get going a little bit, all of that kind of stuff. And then has to go in front of, an incredibly loud crowd, when they've got all that stuff going on. They've got those guns shooting, all that kind of stuff. I watched like the first 10 minutes of College Game Day today, and the Sooner Nation. I don't know what they call them. But they look rearing and ready to go. So it's going to be a rough one. Dad, I know you're listening while you're driving out there to Norman. Cover your ears. I'm taking Oklahoma to win this one by 17.
There we go. All right, Jet. Last pick of the day, Oklahoma, Michigan.
It starts and it ends, guys, with swag tier. It just is what it is. I think with all the controversy that is surrounding Michigan over the last couple of years and now getting revamped up here recently, I think Michigan fans are soft. I think Michigan fans are ungrateful fans. I think that they forget who Big Brother is in their own conference. I don't give a crap that you've been able to beat Ohio State, but Ohio State has been whooping your tail in the national championship race. So let's be honest, boys, that's what means something. And I like Bryce Underwood a lot. I really do. But given the big thing, me and Strez are big on watching a football show culture. Big thing. I think Michigan's culture right now is not in a great spot. And so I can't, in a right mind, even get there. It starts there and it ends at that point. And I think Oklahoma and Norman, what Mateer was able to do last week, and my biggest thing as far as like what the team looks like for Michigan, I mean, your first week you went and you hosted the Lobos, who I'm very familiar with as one of my teams that I follow, being some ties to Liberty University, play them every year. And if Jamie Chadwell can go in there and whoop up on the Lobos with the Liberty Flames and Salter, and Michigan only keeps it a 17-34 game, and you think you're going to go into Norman and you think you're going to beat John Mateer? That's what you think? No. I think this is a blowout. I think that the Sooners pull away, and I think that this game gets away quick, and I think that it's a 3-score game. I think that Michigan is humbled in Norman today.
From your lips to God's ears, because I need it to happen today. It needs to be a big weekend. Strez would love to have it.
Can't believe I am about to say this word. Boomer.
All right, guys, that's all we've got for the Waterboys College Football pregame show. We will be back here at 3 o'clock Central. The tailgate takeover kicks off with the guys from Tingle & Co. We're going to be doing 2 hours of pregame coverage for the LSU game. But make sure that you are watching college football. Games start kicking off here in about 45, 50 minutes. A lot of good college football today, and then a couple of big, huge games tonight. If you can, do us a huge favor, go check out Pro Dreams Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Check them out if you're here local in the area for whatever reason. Come on by and say hi. We will be here pretty much all day. I think we're going to get out and go check out the tailgates here in a little bit as well. So we got a lot of things coming, a lot of content coming, so make sure that you're following us. And if you were checking out this live stream, make sure that you're following us here on YouTube, Washed Up Sports Network, right here on YouTube. Stress, thanks for hanging out with me and getting up extra early. It means a lot, buddy.
I will do anything in order to talk college ball with the boys. Anything.
Bang.
All right, we'll be back here in a few hours. Have a great rest of your morning. Watch some college football, and we'll see you at 3 o'clock.
Go Tigers.